Leo, have you ever felt like your brain ran out of fuel halfway through?
What do you mean?
You know, Leo, my little brother has been struggling with his studies lately. He spends hours cramming, watching tutorials, making flashcards. He's basically doing everything he thinks will help him learn faster. But instead of improving, he just ends up exhausted and frustrated.
Ooh, I've been there. You hit that point where you're working so hard that your brain just refuses to take in any more information.
Exactly. He thinks the solution is to push even harder. He told me, if I'm not struggling, I must not be learning enough.
Oh man, that's such a common trap.
Yeah, I know. That's why we're breaking it all down today. How to absorb information faster, retain it longer, and actually enjoy the process.
Because your brain?
It's not a machine, it's a garden.
Wait, so are you saying my brain needs fertilizer?
More like the right conditions to grow. Stick with me, you'll see what I mean.
Okay, so let's start with this. Why is learning so hard sometimes?
Well, it all comes down to how our brain processes information. We have something called working memory, which is like the brain's sticky note. It holds on to information temporarily, but if we overload it, things start slipping through the cracks.
So basically, our brain is that one tab in Chrome that keeps crashing when too many windows are open?
You always come up with these ideas, but yeah, kind of.
So why do we cram so much stuff into our heads?
It's related to the first big reason for burnout, the pressure to keep up with others.
Oh, and social media plays a huge role in this.
You're right. You see someone mastering a language in 3 months, someone else learning to code in a few weeks. Then you think, why am I so slow?
Yeah, and the crazy part? Those stories often leave out the full picture. You don't see the years of previous experience they had, or the fact that they might have dedicated all their free time to learning.
Exactly. It's the highlight reel effect. People post their success, not their struggles. So we end up setting unrealistic expectations for ourselves.
And when we can't match that speed, we start feeling like we're failing, even when we're actually making solid progress.
Yes, and another big problem is trying to learn everything at once.
Guilty as charged. I once tried to learn 3 different skills at the same time: coding, playing the guitar, and photography. Guess what happened?
Let me guess. Your brain said, nope, too much.
Yeah, I was jumping between tutorials, practicing late at night. By the end of the month, I barely improved in any of them.
That's because our brain needs time to absorb information. Dumping too much knowledge at once is like trying to pour a gallon of water into a small cup. It just overflows,
I couldn't agree more. And let's not forget the most underrated cause of burnout. It's neglecting rest.
right? People think that more study time equals more learning. But actually, rest is when our brain processes what we've learned.
Yep, like when you're stuck on a problem, then suddenly, the solution pops into your head when you're in the shower.
Exactly. Your brain needs downtime to make connections. If you skip that, learning becomes way harder than it needs to be.
Listeners, what is the reason for your burnout? Type it in the comments and let us know.
Who knows? You might meet a fellow traveler like yourself.
All right, so how do you know if you're pushing yourself too hard?
One of the first signs is mental exhaustion. You sit down to study, but even 5 minutes in, you're already drained.
Oh man, I've had those days. Staring at a book, rereading the same sentence 10 times, but nothing sticks,
Yep, that's a sign your brain is overloaded. It's like a phone running on 1% battery. It's struggling just to function.
right? And do you know what the big red flag is?
What is that?
It's when you start feeling indifferent about learning.
You used to be excited about picking up a new skill, but suddenly it feels like a chore.
And the worst part? Even when you force yourself to keep going, you're not really absorbing anything. That's your brain's way of saying, hey, I need a break.
This is tiring. And for me, the most frustrating sign is when you spend hours studying, but when you try to recall it later, poof, it's gone.
So that happens a lot when you're learning just for the sake of finishing, instead of actually understanding.
It's like speed watching a movie and realizing afterward that you remember almost nothing.
Okay, confession time? I used to think multitasking was the ultimate productivity hack. Like, why just read when I could read, listen to music, and answer texts at the same time?
And let me guess, You ended up remembering nothing.
Pretty much.
That's because multitasking isn't real. What we actually do is task switching, which means we're constantly shifting focus between things. And research shows that this makes learning less effective.
So my brain wasn't multitasking, it was just getting confused.
Definitely.
Is there a way to learn fast while still keeping it chill? Because I want to learn, but it has to be a chill experience.
Micro learning.
That just means breaking things down into tiny, manageable chunks instead of stuffing everything into your brain at once.
I read a study by Sapita that talks about this.
What does it say?
This study found that spaced learning improves memory retention by up to 200% compared to cramming.
Like, short sessions spread out over time, right?
That's right. So, listeners, think about something you're trying to learn right now. Maybe a new language, a skill for work. Imagine trying to memorize 100 new words in one sitting. It sounds painful, right?
Now, compare that to learning just 10 words a day and revisiting them regularly. Which one sounds easier?
You already know the answer. Another game changer is setting short term goals.
Right. Instead of saying, I want to be fluent in Spanish, which sounds like a lifetime commitment, you go for something like, I want to learn 10 new words this week. Much less scary.
It makes learning feel more achievable and keeps you from feeling overwhelmed. Plus, short term goals give you quick wins.
Each time you reach a small milestone, you feel a sense of accomplishment, which keeps you motivated to keep going.
That's a great trick.
It's like when you're playing a video game. You don't beat the whole game in one go, right? You clear levels one by one. Now, this one's my favorite, making learning fun.
And how do you do that?
By using different formats, podcasts, videos, apps, flashcards, switching things up keeps things interesting.
Oh, right. If you're learning about history, you could watch a documentary, listen to a podcast, and then test yourself with a quiz. And of course, sleep, the ultimate brain booster. People underestimate how important sleep is for memory.
I agree. When you sleep, your brain organizes and strengthens what you learned during the day. Studies show that getting enough sleep helps with problem solving, creativity, and recall.
That's why pulling all nighters doesn't actually help. You're better off getting a full night's rest.
And let's not forget exercise. Even just a short walk can boost focus and creativity.
Great suggestion. Research shows that moving your body increases oxygen flow to the brain, improving concentration and problem solving skills.
So, learning isn't just about studying, it's also about resting, moving, and taking care of yourself.
And remember, learning fast isn't always the best.
Right? Rushing can lead to shallow understanding. It's better to master something at your own pace than to rush and forget everything.
It's like cooking. You can microwave a meal in 5 minutes, but a slow cooked dish? That's where the real flavor is.
So the key isn't just speed, it's smart learning. Find your own rhythm and make it work for you.
Slow down to speed learn. Let's learn some new phrases related to today's topic. You first, Leo.
Challenge accepted. First of all, we have the phrase hit a wall. To reach a point where progress becomes very difficult or stops completely. I was studying all night, but after a few hours I hit a wall and couldn't absorb anything.
That's common. Taking a break helps reset your brain. The next phrase is highlight reel, a carefully curated version of events that only shows the best parts, not the struggles. Social media makes success look easy, but it's just a highlight reel.
Exactly. People don't show the hard work behind the scenes. Here's another phrase. Spaced learning. Studying in short sessions instead of all at once. Instead of cramming the night before, your brother should use spaced learning over several days.
I agree. Next, we have task switching, rapidly moving between tasks, reducing focus and effectiveness. This kind of task switching made us less productive.
Yeah, we should avoid task switching by focusing on one thing at a time. Finally, we have mental exhaustion. Extreme tiredness from too much thinking or studying. Back then, after studying for 10 hours straight, mental exhaustion took over and I couldn't concentrate anymore.
That's tiring.
Now, let's check our understanding with a few questions.
Feel free to share your answers in the comments below. The first question: what is the highlight reel effect on social media? It's when people only show their success and not their struggles, making others feel slow or unsuccessful.
There's no doubt about it. The next question: what happens when someone studies without taking breaks?
They feel mentally exhausted, absorb less information, and struggle to recall what they learned.
You got it right.
Hey, listeners, learning shouldn't feel like a stressful journey. It's about finding smart ways to absorb and retain knowledge without burning yourself out.
So go forth and learn without frying your brain in the process.
And if you liked this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who wants to learn faster without burning out.
Or someone who's still trying to memorize everything the night before an exam.
See you next time. Happy learning, everyone.